Dear students, today we are going to start new unit, The Great Train Journey. But before starting the reading of this unit, let us get the introduction of the writer. Ruskin Bond, born the 19th of May 1934, is an Indian author of British descent. Most of his works are influenced by life in the hill stations at the foothills of the Himalayas, where he spent his childhood. On writing for children, he said, "I had a pretty lonely childhood and it helps me to understand a child better." The Great Train Journey by Ruskin Bond is a collection of 14 short stories. The theme of the book is to find back time to stand and stare. This collection is marvelous in its form because all 14 stories in this book are about trains, means train watching, traveling on train, walking on the tracks, and so on. The title story, The Great Train Journey, is about a boy named Sajid.
Reading of page 39. Sajid waved to a passing train, and kept waving until only the spiraling smoke remained. He liked waving to trains. He wondered about the people in them, and about where they were going and what it would be like there. And when the train had passed, leaving behind only the hot, empty track, Sajid was left alone. He was a little lonely now. His hands in his pockets, he wandered along the railway track, kicking at loose pebbles and sending them down the bank. Soon there were other tracks, a railway siding, and a stationary goods train. Sajid walked the length of the goods train. The carriage doors were closed and, as there were no windows, he couldn't see inside. He looked around to see if he was being observed, and then, satisfied that he was alone, began trying the doors. He was almost at the end of the train when a carriage door gave way to his thrust. It was dark inside the carriage. Sajid stood outside in the bright sunlight, peering into the darkness, trying to recognize bulky, shapeless objects. He stepped into the carriage and felt around. The objects were crates, and through the cross-section of woodwork he felt straw. He opened the door and the sun streamed into the compartment, driving out the musty darkness. Sajid sat down on a packing case, his chin cupped in his hands. The school was closed for summer holidays, and he had been wandering about all day and still did not know what to do with himself. The carriage was bare of any sort of glamour. Passing trains fascinated him, moving trains, crowded trains, shrieking, panting.
Now the reading of the half of the page 40. Trains. All fascinated him, but this smelly, dark compartment filled him only with gloom and more loneliness. He did not really look gloomy or lonely. He looked fierce at times, when he glared out at people from under his dark eyebrows, but otherwise he usually wore a contented look, and no one could guess just how deep his thoughts were. Perhaps, if he had company, some fun could be had in the carriage. If there had been a friend with him, someone like Umer. He looked at the crates. He was always curious about things that were bolted or nailed down or in some way concealed from him, things like parcels and locked rooms, and carriage doors and crates. He went from one crate to another, and soon his perseverance was rewarded. The cover of one hadn't been properly nailed down. Sajid got his fingers under the edge and raised up the lid. Absorbed in this operation, he did not notice the slight shudder that passed through the train. He plunged his hands into the straw and pulled out an apple. It was a dark, ruby-red apple, and it lay in the dusty palm of Sajid's hand like some gigantic precious stone, smooth and round and glowing in the sunlight. Sajid looked up, out of the doorway, and thought he saw a tree walking past the train. Keywords and their meanings. Spiraling, circling. Pebble, small smooth round stone. Stationary, static, motionless. thrust push hard. Peering gazing, looking. Recognize understanding. Bulky heavy. Bear without. Glamour charm, attraction. Fascinated delighted. Excited. Gloom feelings of great unhappiness. Crates carton, boxes. Curious great interested. Perseverance continued effort. Absorbed engaged, involved. Shudder shake, quiver. Hope you have enjoyed the reading. Now it's your turn, you are shared a worksheet with this video, watch this again and solve it. Thank you.